Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Perfect Time of Multisport. Today I got my guy Micah Wells here joining. Actually, Dr. Micah Wells. I gotta make sure I respect the grind.
Appreciate it.
I got the Micah Touch here joining us for today's episode. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. What's up?
I'm doing all right. Welcome to the PTM community. How's your weekend been?
It's been pretty busy.
Yeah.
But it's over now.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Busy during COVID? How do you stay so busy during COVID?
Well, you start planning out your day.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, one thing turns into two turns into four, and
That's
then just knocking things out.
That's
It happens.
Right. I love that. So actually, I don't even remember how I met Micah. And as I was trying to preparing for this interview, I'm trying to think back, and I can't pinpoint the day, time, moment where Micah and I connected. However, I do remember always following along what he has going on and just really being impressed with his story. So, one, I'm really excited personally to learn more about you through this conversation, but also to bring Micah to you all who don't know him at all. So as we get into that, definitely want to start with some really simple things like the basics. First, where are you from and how long have you been here in DC?
Well, born and raised Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
I've been in DC since 2012, so we're talking about 8 years.
Oh.
Eight long years.
8 long years.
Pretty good so far.
Yeah. So I know you're obviously in PTM, right? We talk about athletics. I know you're a runner now. But was that always like your first sport, or were you doing something else?
So running really picked up on that when I came to DC.
Oh.
But my first love, always will be my love, is basketball.
Yeah.
So that carried me through middle school, high school, everything with basketball. I love it.
Okay. What position you play?
I played point guard.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you any good?
Always.
All right.
Always. Put some money up. Let's do it.
So you played through high school. Did you play while you were in college or no?
So I did not play when I was in college. I had a few scholarships, some Division II, some Division IIIs, and some junior colleges or community colleges. They're all regional within Ohio.
Right.
And my whole thing was just to kind of get away from that atmosphere to really see who I was. So the plan was to go to Tennessee State and then walk on, but kind of fell in love with the atmosphere, and basketball became like an afterthought after that.
All right, so that's where you went to undergrad, Tennessee State?
The Tennessee State University down in Nashville, Tennessee.
All right.
So all my TSU Tigers, what up?
All right. Did you go there and play with Robert Covington, or because he went there, right?
Well, yeah, he was there. So I was actually watching Robert Covington.
Really?
I didn't play with him.
All right.
Watching him dominate.
So I only know that because he played for the Sixers, and obviously being from Philly, being a Sixers fan, like that's my guy. So thinking about the next question. So now I know, as I mentioned in the opening, doctor here, going into TSU, was physical therapy always the thing you wanted to do?
It was something that was on my list, but it wasn't something that was like a definite. So when I first went to school, I was an engineering major, and that's like different spectrums right there, right? But it's really hard to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life at 18 years old. And so I'm one of the millions of people who kind of bounced around through different type of majors, and just made a definite decision more so in my junior year to become a physical therapist.
Okay. So how'd you get from going to school at TSU to be an engineer, and now you're transitioning to being a physical therapist in your junior year?
So my whole thing was I love working with my hands.
Okay.
I pay close attention to detail, and I love working with people and helping people. And so at the time, heavily influenced by people in my family who were in construction and real estate. That's kind of where the engineering portion came into play. But the math in high school was different than the math in undergrad. So quickly hopped out of that one real quick. But I went into education thinking that, hey, that's a good way to connect with the youth. My parents were educators in the Cleveland public school system, and so I thought that was a passion of mine. I quickly came out of that one too.
Right, that's right.
But I respect all educators. My sister's an educator. Shout out to her.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't my calling.
I love it.
And so
and that's the part. That's like I have some little cousins that's transitioning, going to to college now and even younger, like that's the time to really figure that out, right? And it's cool to change that path because, as you said, as you're 18, 19, even 20, shoot, even 30, like you don't know what you want to do.
Still tough.
So
It's still tough.
that changes. So I definitely respect you for taking a step back and like saying, all right, what do I want to do going forward? But thinking about that, as you figured out what that next step was, did you have any community to help you with that?
Yeah, I
outside of your
did.
family?
So once it came from engineering, education, I said, okay, my mother introduced me to a field called occupational therapy.
Okay.
And I was okay, I'll give it a shot, but my heart really wasn't in it. You know, it really wasn't in it, and I found that out quickly. One time we had an exam, and I got the question wrong about occupational therapy. So how am I going to spend the rest of my life delving into occupational therapy? I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
And so I just had to face the elephant in the room and take the course that I needed to take, sit down and do what I needed to do. You know, even though it was a longer road, but it really became more. It was very enjoyable, and I appreciated it along the process. So it was about 5 of the courses that I needed to take at the time, and spent my summer in Tennessee and really just focused in. And got into PT school and I just never looked back. And so something with playing basketball in high school, you learn about physical therapy, but more so about it with athletes. So they kind of confuse physical therapy and athletic training. But I mean, I just found my passion with it and just, like I said, never looked back. So when it came to people other than family, I had one of my good line brothers, he always jokes with me about this. His name is Marcus Johnson. He always used to ask me, do you want to be the doctor or do you want to be the nurse? I always talked about that every single time I saw him. Because I was like, man, what should I do? Should I just go ahead and finish right now? Should I go ahead? Do you want to be the doctor or do you want to be the nurse? And that just kind of resonated with myself. And really, as simple as it was a very tough decision. Because it wasn't just only myself making this decision. You're talking about parents. Like, hey, are you serious about this? Because we don't want to keep relinquishing money into this, something that you're not serious about. But it turned out to be the best decision that I ever made.
I love that. So you talked about your line brothers. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like what fraternity? What fraternity are you still in?
Yeah, so I'm a member of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Okay.
So shout out to the brothers.
All right.
But really, that matriculation of meeting these guys and working with these guys and just team building with these guys, it built a lot of mental toughness, and a lot of things that you can kind of tie into life in an everyday situation. So when you think that you're here, you can go back to those times to kind of bring you back up to here and keep life moving and going the way it's supposed to.
Right. So thinking about your fraternity, how'd you come, when you think about the Divine Nine, how'd you come to joining this fraternity? What was that decision experience like for you? So
in the South, it's a little different because high schools, they have like high school fraternities and sororities, and so up in the Midwest, that's not something that you really thought about or even heard of, right? My siblings, my sister and my brother are part of Greek organizations, but didn't really delve into much of telling me which way I should go. And so when it came to going to Tennessee State, I kind of spent some time just looking around and see what I liked and disliked about this one or that one, and then took that even further, started doing some research and what kind of really spoke to me. And Alpha just kind of spoke to me off just the history. It spoke to me off just the prominent members of it and stuff like that. So the impact that I want to leave in this world is like I want to keep that legacy still going. So that was my determining factor.
Okay, I love that. So thinking about that brotherhood, especially during your time at TSU, how did that brotherhood show up for you and support you during that time?
I mean, anytime that I would reach back out to people, they'll give me words of encouragement. They'll be honest with me. They'll always look out for me and stuff like that. So even hard times through undergraduate or graduate school or even through life, we still check up on each other, just to kind of simple check-ins. There's nothing like a brother that can really hold you accountable to things that you want to do. So I definitely appreciate that. Outside of just the family realm, you have people from different walks of life, so that you can call your brothers that can really hold you accountable for certain things. So definitely appreciate it.
I love that. So you just actually touched on my next question, which was how are they still showing up for you? But I'm also curious, with the inverse of that, how are you showing up for your fraternity?
I mean, it goes tenfold. So like I say, reaching out to people, that's something that I do. People that share with me their goals, their aspirations, kind of hold them accountable, hold them to them. If they need anything, any advice, they want to talk, want to vent. It just works tempo. It comes around,
right.
You know. It's
right.
like, and anytime that we're together, like not only just my line brothers, but people within my fraternity, it's just like one big family reunion.
Yeah.
And so, just always just checking in with each other, just making sure that we're moving the course, so staying the course where we need to go.
Right, that's important. So I know we got a little bit off topic, but I do also know how important that brotherhood is, right? So I wanted to make sure we took an opportunity to really shed some light on that. Like you said, being from the Midwest, or me being from the Northeast, we really don't have a lot of people able to have these conversations. So I definitely wanted to make sure we shed some light on that. But getting back to the pre-Dr. Wells days, where did you go to school? So you went to undergrad, but where did you go for your PT program?
So I went to get my doctorate at Howard University
in
Washington, D.C., of course, which that's what brought me
here. Yeah.
So I love it so much and I can't leave.
All right. Yeah. So what were you thinking back to your time back in 2012, like you said, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So thinking back to 2012, what were your initial impressions coming here, not only to D.C., but going to Howard?
Well, I didn't know anything about DC. So
how'd you end up there?
Good question, right? So when it comes to PT school, I was like, okay, I'm going to apply to a school in Atlanta.
Right.
I'm going to apply to a school in Washington, D.C. So I knew that for me to focus, I had to get away from my habitat, my normal environment. Because Tennessee, I had been there for 4 or 5 years. And things that was kind of the norm. I needed to get out of that to really focus and lock into what I really wanted to do.
Right.
And so whoever bit first, that's where I was going. And so when I applied, Howard gave me the service, but I'm going to Howard. So literally a month later, that was my first time coming to DC.
Oh wow, that's great.
And I was like, this is where I'm going to spend the next 3 years.
All right.
So I was really thought that at 3 years that I was wrong.
I'm about to say it's like 8 years.
Right, 8 years later, But Washington DC just has it's just different, It's a lot of dreamers here. You could be whoever you want to be here.
Right,
You can create whatever you want to create. And nobody's holding you to anything but what you want to do. And that's what I like about it. Just to be in a city of movers and shakers and stuff like that. So that's what kind of kept me here.
I love that. Yeah, as we're doing this podcast, I know one of the difficult things is I only interview people live. I've only done one interview where it's not live. But what that means is people actually have to be here in DC or the DMV to actually be able to come on to do the interviews. And it limits me because I'm not able to have that reach, right? But we have people from all over the world living here in this community. And I can really tell those stories. So I really love when you said, there are a lot of movers, there are a lot of shakers there, and there are a lot of people that are doing stuff, and they all have these really important stories, especially including yourself, as we're having this conversation now. So going back to you, so I know for me, basketball always helped me transition anywhere I went, because being in the military, I had to move around a lot, right? So when I met new folks or went to a new place, basketball was it. So thinking about when you transitioned here, were you still playing basketball at that time?
Not really. I would say throughout undergraduate and graduate, I was more so in and out of the gym, but basketball was something I would pick up maybe from with my old teammates back home or, people talking like they can beat you. And it's okay, let's go lace up real quick. Play a little game of horse or a game of pig or something like that. So, but it's more so like that. No rec leagues, nothing like that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But after finishing PT school, I really got into running afterwards. So that's kind of what shifted, and it was a good shift. Most importantly, mentally, I was able to be one with myself, and also just clear my mind. Whether it's running for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. It really trains you mentally. You get to be clear and free and just be at whatever you want to do.
So when did you actually start running? What year?
I first started running in 2015. I went out, a friend of mine, we went out to support another friend who was running at Nike in Georgetown. And so we went out to run a couple times, and then that was a good time for me because, like I said, transitioning out of graduate school and into studying for a board exam and stuff like that. and then took a break from running, went back into working out again. But I really got serious about running in 2017, and I had my first run was with District Running Collective in DC, and
how'd you hear about the RC?
My neighbor, she had invited me out. She had invited me out and told me, hey, you should come out and go run. And I went, and I was just at awe. You know, there's like over 100 people at this run event, and 95% is black, and that's what really like took me like, whoa. You know, because it's not something that is really talked about. Black runners or black athletes outside of football, basketball, you know, or even entertainment, you know. And so the funny thing is that run I had on basketball shorts and I had on basketball shoes, and she would never let me out there. Basketball shoes. But I ran my 2 miles though. I finished my 2 miles, feet hurting and everything.
Hey, you got it done, man. I remember when I did one of my first races, I at least had on running shoes, but I definitely had on like some 3X basketball shorts.
She didn't tell me, but I think she set me up though. We're gonna talk about that. She tried to set me up.
So thinking about those basketball shorts for the first few times, that first time, and just your first few experiences, like what was that experience like for you?
I mean, it was beautiful because a lot of times when you step into something that you're not an expert in, you feel like out of place. And when I went, people were welcoming. You know, that's one thing. You know what I'm saying? People were welcoming, and they also put you in positions where you could be successful. And so with me being a new runner, especially in basketball clothes, you know, you start with the beginners group, you know, and so that gave me the courage to keep coming out and keep running. You know, a lot of times, even beyond then, like a lot of times people try to group you into the experts, and sometimes it doesn't really work out well with people. You kind of want to be with people that's on your same level, or you have some commonality going on. And so, you know, started running with the beginners, and then eventually I got out of the basketball shoes and the basketball shorts and started switching into running shoes, running shorts, and, you know, I'm about 5 half marathons in and a whole bunch of 10 milers and 5Ks, and I love it. I love it.
I love that. And we're definitely going to get more into that. You just said all those distances, and I definitely want to hear like what your favorite distances are. But for the folks that are watching live, if you have any questions, as we always remind folks, please continue to be engaged with this conversation. We do have Daniela here. She can read the questions out for us. So again, please make sure you're staying engaged, asking us questions. If you're watching this later or listening on the podcast and you're like, what is he talking about? As I always say, you should have been here. But getting back to the conversation that we are in now, so thinking about you being a runner, you start in 2015, now we're talking about 2017, but you came to DC back in 2012. So that means you started your PT program over those few years. So do you feel like being in the physical therapy program helped you as a runner?
It did. It's not really seen as like a cheat sheet, but it gave me something to really focus on if I was going to be serious about it. It's like breathing, technique, what muscle groups to strengthen, stuff like that. So it's not really being told what to do, but like, okay, it's either are you going to do it or are you not going to do it?
Right.
And then how do you want to be with this? Do you want to be good? Do you want to be great? Do you want to be phenomenal? And if so, then you know exactly what you have to do. So it's about cutting things off, sacrificing certain things, and really just start honing in into that routine. And being disciplined with that routine and keep going with that same routine. But overall, the goals and the time just keeps getting better and better and better.
So thinking about those goals and those time, like what did and what does progress look and feel like for you?
It feels amazing, honestly. I mean, my first half was pretty slow. It was pretty slow, and I stopped like a lot of times. But I finished.
All right.
I finished. Don't forget I finished. And now to my last half marathon, it's like, you know, running, like enjoying it, not stopping. You know, yelling at the crowd and slapping hands and stuff like that. So, you know, you can definitely see how you're shaving off 10, 20, 30 minutes at a time, you know, by just staying disciplined to your whole course. And so,
So I know for a lot of folks that we want to really connect with are a lot of those people that are really just transitioning into whether it's swim, bike, run, or even basketball, right? So, but thinking about your racing experience, take us back to that first race. So again, you're here in DC. You start doing the Nike runs. You start doing the DRC runs. But what was that first race experience like?
Very, very first official race was a 5K. So it was the HBCU 5K that's around Howard in June. And that was just to kind of get my feet wet. So I was going to build up to that half marathon standpoint, right? But things had shifted. So I had signed up for the 5 miler and then got coerced into switching that into the Navy Air Force half marathon. Yeah, so
so
that's a big
shift.
It's a big shift. It's a big shift. And the funny thing is, I was going to go, like I said, 5 miler, 10 miler didn't happen. And then it was like 5K, and then next thing you know, you have the half marathon. I mean, my training was inconsistent during that time. Just gonna be honest with you. Eating habits were piss poor at that time. You know what I'm saying? I would say if I was most consistent with something, it was getting out to run. Because I know I had a community that would push me to run. But like I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do internally to really get to where I needed to be. And so that's what caused me to stop a lot of time and stuff like that. But it was beautiful. I mean, you know, the hardest part is getting past that first mile of the half marathon. But then the best part is when you pass that finish line and you get to meet up with your friends and your families and you just have like this one big celebration. The whole time you're like, man, can I really do this? Can I really do this? And you're like, I'm going to do it. Like your mind shifts from as a question, I think I can, like I know I can and I will. You know? And that's kind of what really happened during that time. So even though my time was slow, even though I stopped a few times, take a break, I finished and that medal. They had a great celebration after that. So.
All right. So before I get to like the actual race day experience, but again, going back to your experience as a physical therapist, were you coaching yourself through this, or did you really just lean on the community to support you?
It's kind of a little bit of both. You know, with my first race, I leaned heavily on the community. The reason why, because there was a lot of people that were experts, and I'm just being a novice, and so it was just really taking their story and taking what I can from it and adding it to mine. Like, how did you feel with your first half marathon, or what are you doing when you're not running, or what is the best way to cross train, like stuff like that, to kind of find my niche with it. You know, and now it's kind of more so shifted because okay, I have more experience with running, and then also being a physical therapist. Like, okay, you know what you need to do, you know what happens, stuff like that. You know? Even being injured, you know, like having a stress fracture, you know, like I know what needs to happen. I know what needs to take place to really get to where I need to be.
Yeah, I love that. And I know we have a question in the chat, but before we get to that question, I am curious, going back to that actual race day at the, what is it, the Navy Air Force half marathon. So what did it look like for you to have that community that you were training with throughout the progress, and now you're here at race day? I'm sure. What was the community, and again, what did it look like to have them during the race, and then as you cross the finish line?
Well, the community it's been District Collective DRC, and you know, if you never attended a Wednesday run, or if you haven't seen DRC cheer squad, then you are missing out on some good times. I guarantee you that. But you know, they're always posted up at mile 6 and mile 11 during the race, and so that kind of helps you out, especially when you get to that 11th mile, because you're just like, man, I'm like, like one step, like taking a break, and you know, they just really give you that. They put that fire under you to really keep going and pushing and striving towards what you want. And so it went from first just kind of coming through cheer squad shot. Now I'm coming through, I'm yelling, I'm screaming, I'm excited. So everybody that knows me, I get excited quickly. When I see DRC at mile 11, it's over. I might be yelling the rest of the miles, but I'm going to be yelling the rest of the day. It's over at that point.
I love that. So again, I know we have a question in the chat. Please continue to ask these questions. We definitely want to make sure we're keeping this conversation engaged. So Daniela, can you please let us know what that first question is?
Sure. Elle Woods wants to know, how has the fraternity shaped your mentality when it comes to life and running, and how do they correlate?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's go over that first part again. How does it shape?
How has it shaped your mentality when it comes to life and running? And then how do they correlate?
Well, with life, it just lets me know that anything that I want to happen in my life, all I have to do is just be disciplined for it. And that's what the fraternity aspect gave me, about the importance of being disciplined. And if you have to tuck your tail, you tuck your tail and do what you got to do. You go through the day. Once it's over, it's over. You got a whole new day ahead of you. Right. And you're keeping that consistency. It kind of correlates on to running too, just because when you're training, 12-week training period for a half marathon, it's the same thing. Like, hey, I know this day I have to do speed workouts, and then I also have to do cross train, but then I also have to eat a certain diet, right? So just being disciplined was the main thing, and just focusing in on that discipline. And that's what kind of led to just being good and successful at it. What was the second part again?
I think you got it, but he was asking how they correlate.
Oh, well, there you go. It was, there you go, baby.
All right, I'm assuming that's a fraternity, brother?
Yeah, that's my friend, man.
I mean, that kind of question, it was like, all right, this is something more to
you coming with it, he's tapped in.
I love it.
Bring him back. What else you got, everyone?
So transitioning, moving from your first to your favorite, I know you said you did a few in between. So what was that? What's your favorite distance? But two, what's been your favorite race?
Now, my favorite distance is going to be a little biased.
All right.
It's 10 miles.
Why 10 miles?
10 is my favorite number. That's the one. That was when I made varsity my sophomore year, that was my first jersey number.
Yeah.
That's also my fraternity number.
All right.
And so 10 is like it for me. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to running 10 miles, like I still feel like I still have a day ahead of me. I don't feel like exhausted, like I need to just take a few hours away from the world and come back to it. Like I can still be active. So 10 miles is it for me. You know?
Right. And what's been your favorite race?
I still do half marathons, but 10
is it.
You want to do 10 miles, I'm down for 10 miles anytime.
So what's your favorite 10 miler?
Oh man, Cherry Blossom was
Cherry
really
Blossom.
dope. Cherry Blossom really dope. Even though the first mile to the third mile, I had allergies, it's really like tearing me up as I'm running through it.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful race. Like it's a beautiful race. Like I'm sneezing like crazy. I'm doing a lot of stuff. But it's really a beautiful race. Like you see the flowers blossoming, everybody's happy. It's just a really scenic race through DC.
All right.
So, but my favorite half marathon has to be the Cleveland, the Rite Aid Cleveland half marathon. Born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and this was really the first time my best friend and even like my family got to see me run. Yeah. And, and they surprised me with shirts, Team Micah and stuff like that. My nieces and nephews out there yelling, "Go Uncle Mike!" So like the atmosphere was pretty dope. Yeah. And beyond that, it was the hottest day in Cleveland. I mean, the route was crazy, like a big hill at mile 7. Yeah. And you would just kind of tie those things into like life situations. Yeah. And even with all of that coming on, still PR. So it was like, it was an amazing feeling. It was amazing feeling, definitely.
I love that.
And I also ran that race with a hurt foot too. So I don't recommend anybody do that. I don't recommend anybody do that, but it happened, but... Let's just skip that last part.
We're going to edit that out.
We kicked that one up.
All right, so staying on the topic of favorites. So when you close your eyes, hold up, actually close your eyes real quick. I want you to like take this question in. So when you close your eyes, can you tell us about your favorite race memory? I'm sorry, your favorite memory in athletics. Let's go deeper in the race.
Favorite memory in athletics?
That's
a loaded question. That's a loaded question. I mean, basketball, we won plenty, and this is high school, we won plenty of district regionals. We even won a state championship, which was, being a part of that was just like amazing to see and amazing to feel and amazing to experience that. But that's a different part of my life. You're talking about teen years and stuff like that. But as we're matriculating through life, man, I mean, running a half marathon was something that I never saw myself doing, And to take it back 10 plus years earlier, you know what I'm saying, off season of basketball, it's like, okay, I can go ahead and I want to stay in shape, so let me try cross country, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is like weird because it's like the first day I go out, they're like, okay, we're going to warm up at 3 miles. And I'm like, yeah, I'm done. That's it. Like, warming up at 3 miles means that you have something else after that.
Right.
No, I'm good with that.
It's funny, when I was in high school, like the best team in Philly, they had all their players run cross country. So I was like, yo, we gotta run cross country. And I had a of my teammates go do it, I was like, I'm not doing that. Like,
it's over.
I'm good. So I definitely feel you on that. But thinking back to that favorite memory in athletics, and actually tying into the question that Elle was asking, how did your experience as an athlete in high school, especially being on the team that you were on, help when you joined that fraternity? Because essentially they're one of the same.
Yeah, one of the same. I mean, you learn playing sports growing up. You learn a lot of teamwork.
Right.
You learn how to be patient. You know, you learn about positioning, like what's your position or your role in a situation, and how can you be the best at that. You know, so it's taking out the cliche I in team, because that's what really matters. It's not about your individual stat sheet, it's about how the team performs.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, who has the higher score?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so that can relate into joining a fraternity, teamwork.
Right.
Going to work, teamwork. You know, it ties every single day. It's not only about yourself. And now I'm thinking beyond teamwork. I'm thinking about legacy. You know, like what type of legacy I want to leave. Like, who do I want to impact throughout my matriculation through life? How do I instill something in them that wasn't instilled in me?
Right. Right.
It's not really worried about how great I can be. It's how great people that I touch, how great can they be?
Right.
And they can continue the snowball effect of making great people. You know.
I love that. I love that. Gosh. Definitely going to touch on that topic a little bit later in the conversation. But getting back to these favorites, because I am curious. So we talk about your favorites as an athlete and going out to races, and you're definitely a professional in this athletic space, right? So I'm curious, what is your favorite memory as a physical therapist?
Ooh, that's a lot. To name one as my favorite, that's tough. I would have to say, if I had to choose one, not to be indecisive, but if I had to choose one right now, my favorite is when I go to Nashville and I get to work with professional basketball players, whether they're overseas or if they're in the collegiate or if they're professionally in the NBA. Really get to work with them, because like it's a different level to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference when you see people playing basketball outside versus like, this is my 9 to 5. This is my everyday. And when it comes to physical therapy, you know, these individuals, these athletes are getting therapy 2 to 3 times a day. You know? And so they really hone in to the point of recovery. They really hone in to the point of like their body is everything. And it has to run like a well-oiled machine. You know, now in a setting where you're in an outpatient setting or in a clinical setting, you may see somebody twice a week. So in that setting, you're really spending a lot of time. Not only am I going to get you better when you're with me, but I'm really counting on you to do these particular things, A, B, and C, while you're not with me, so that we can transition into the next level.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really pan off that way, because life happens and you give them exercise and they say I'm doing it, and you say, okay, well, show me what you're doing, and it's like completely wrong with what you went over and stuff like that. So it's just, you know, that level of respect for it, that level of importance of it, you know, and that level of knowing what you value, you know. So so if I had to choose, I would say that basketball has always been my love, whether I'm playing or not. So I would say that.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So definitely hear a lot of excitement in your story when you talk about sports. So I recognize how important, like, you know, athletics are. Also, as a physical therapist, I hear your excitement when you talk about that. So going back to what you were saying a few questions ago, when you talk about that legacy, curious about how are you supporting the next wave of not only physical therapists, but young black men that are hoping to become physical therapists?
So, like I said, I get really excited, you know, and when people in my network, when we went to undergraduate, graduate school, they know somebody who's interested or intrigued about physical therapy, and then they'll pass them my number and say, hey, do you mind if you talk to this person, this and the third? And I don't know if that person knows, but I'm already like ready to make you a physical therapist off the bat. Even if you were like teeter-totter in the fence if you want to do it or not. Because it's a very rewarding field. And, you know what I'm saying? You get to help people, you get to make people better. You know, and so being a physical therapist for 5 years, I have a few mentees that are actually in physical therapy school.
Okay.
I have a few mentees that are getting ready to go to physical therapy school, and it's just about giving them something that I didn't have. You know, I didn't really connect with a physical therapist until during PT school or better yet after PT school.
Right.
And so it's like for you to come out of high school, like, I know I want to be a physical therapist. Hey, I see you on Instagram, doing that thing. Let's connect, let's build, let's work together. I can learn from you and you can learn from me.
That's right.
And if I can make your transition into the field of physical therapy easier, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
You can be a better physical therapist than me. There's nothing selfish about that. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? Because just like in physical therapy, I believe we're here to serve. And the field of physical therapy is serving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so as service, you want to help people and work together and do that thing. So I want you to be as great as you want. I may want you to be greater than what you think you want.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So staying along that topic and seeing like how you know the things in your community are changing, how you're impacting your community, how you show up to impact and serve your community. Thinking about the national reckoning as far as Black Lives Matter, how is that showing up in your spaces, not only in PT, but in athletics, as well as within your mental health?
Whew, that's a loaded question.
Right.
Black lives have always mattered to me. It has always mattered to our people. And on the flip side, some people don't believe that they matter.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when it comes to Black Lives Matter, it's not about saying, hey, we want to be higher than you. We just want to say, hey, you need to understand that we exist, and what is happening is very demonic and it's not godly-like, right? I mean, every day as a black male, when you go out into the community, or even into the workforce, you have that stigma or that spunk about you where people can like stereotype you into something that, you know, I used to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care what you think.
Right.
You know, and the reason why is because I know who I am. And if I live my life trying to prove to others who don't look like me who I am, then what is my life really worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know who I am. I know whose I am. And I'm going to continue to impact and continue to move and matriculate through life the best way I can, the best way that I approve of.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't need your approval. I don't want your approval.
Right.
You know, and stuff like that. And so, I mean, you get to a point where it's like, it's the same story happening. And mentally, when you're seeing that, you know, somebody that looks like you, it could have been you.
Right.
And they lost their life to police brutality. You know, they lost their life to some type of crime, right?
Right.
You know,
right.
I caught myself seeing this as like a norm because it happens so frequently.
Right.
But this year, a shift has happened, and it's so amazing that, you know, our people are like, you know what, enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what, I'm not going to take your smart remarks. You know what, I'm not going to let you box me in. You know what?
Yeah.
We can step outside if we need to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm seeing it on TV, like black anchors and you know, people that we idolize in entertainment or in sports, like they're really stepping up to the forefront of black, saying, this is not right, and we're not having it. You know? Even with myself, having the courage to even turn patients away because they say something racist.
Yeah.
Or to turn people away because they're misinformed, you know?
Right.
The times have definitely changed and shifted. It's not about me telling you why it matters. It's about me showing you why it matters. And that's with my everyday situation.
Yeah.
You know, you can't compare us in boxes in to what the media wants to play when there's so much black excellence happening in this world. You know?
Right. I love that. Love that. So thinking about your business and as a professional, can you can you tell us how that shows up to your business values as far as when we think about the context of the BLM movement? So how has this experience that we're going through been showing up in how you conduct your business?
I mean, as far as like Black Lives Matter,
yes.
I mean,
and you touched on a little bit because you said you're having to now turn patients away.
Yeah.
So how has that made an impact to the actual values of the Micah Touch moving forward?
Yeah, well, the whole premise of the Micah Touch is let's work together to get better, right? And so I can't work with somebody if you have a certain stigma against me or if you feel a certain type of way towards myself or my people.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes out, you know what I'm saying? At some point, people will really show you who they are.
Right.
And when they show you who they are, you have to believe them. And my sister always told me that, like, when people show you the first time who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so when it comes to a person that doesn't look like me, or it comes to a person that does look like me, and they're saying things, maybe I'll treat it as if maybe they don't know. You know, like maybe, just maybe, I'll give you a benefit of the doubt. I can't blame somebody that doesn't know.
Right.
But now it's 2020.
Yeah.
2020, you know.
Right.
You know. Like now you're continuously, you're trying to be ignorant to the situation.
Right.
You know, so I don't have to go in and overly explain something that you already know. I'm really tired of it, you know?
Right.
If you're going against the mission, vision, and purpose of the Micah Touch, I cannot work with you.
Right.
I just cannot. I will tell you to your face, it's not something you have to figure out or find out on Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah.
I will let you know that the Micah Touch is going to dismiss itself from you.
Right.
Because this is not working out. And this is the reason why it's not working out. It's a respect level, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, African Americans make up 1%, less than 1% of the field. You know? The field is dominated by, you know, white women and the whole. And so you have those times where people's like, well, how did he get here? You see what I'm saying? Or I got here by putting in hard work.
Yeah.
I got here by staying the course. I got here by doing what I needed to do.
Right.
And I'm going to keep making you mad by doing what I do, because every time you see me, you'll get mad. And if you're getting bitter, and if I'm getting better, we're going to keep separating the distance between us. Because you're so focused on how did I get here, and I'm so focused on how I can get a better invention of me. You see what I'm saying? So, you pick and choose those battles.
Right.
Be bitter or be better. Because you can learn a lot from me. You can learn a lot from people of color that's in this field too. You know, so.
All right. I love that. So again, as we're starting to wrap up here, I definitely want to make sure we remind you that the floor is certainly open for you to ask questions. They're really engaged, especially in this next segment of the conversation, which is rapid fire. So rapid fire. So we're just going to ask some random questions between myself, between Daniela, and between the crowd that's engaged in this conversation right now. So any questions, feel free to ask. But definitely want to start with this random question. Not necessarily a random question, because we ask everybody. If you had to kill one, kiss one, marry one, swim, bike, run, what would it be?
Wow.
And why?
Wow. I would definitely kill swimming.
All right.
It's gone. Swimming is gone. You know, you get a few laps out of me, but I would kill that for sure.
All right.
I would kiss biking, because I'm starting to gain an interest into wanting to bike.
I love it.
And of course, I love running.
You love running.
We're married. We're together forever.
All right. I love it. All right. So whoever has questions, and Danielle, if you please let us know.
Favorite pre-race and post-race meal?
Ooh. Pre-race, I would have to say some pasta. Post-race, I'm going seafood. Anything. It could be crab legs. It could be salmon. It's over.
So
pre-race too. I like sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes.
All right.
Like that carb up real quick.
All right. So my next rapid question is: do you like to run in the morning or at night?
Summertime, morning, hands down. So now I'm getting up 5, 6 a.m. in the morning to just get it over and done with.
All right.
The sun is beaming on your neck from like 9 a.m. to like 10 o'clock at night. Cannot do it.
All right. Daniela?
Favorite NBA team?
Cleveland Cavaliers. Come on, that's like, you gotta go harder than that. I'm representing for the home team on that one.
Damn.
That's with and without LeBron too. I'm core Cleveland Cavaliers.
All right.
Yeah.
So staying on the conversation, he actually asked me this question, and I couldn't answer it because I have my thoughts. But who is the GOAT?
If you know me, if you know me, and this was gonna make or break Mike and our relationship. And I asked him, listen, this lets me know if I need to come on this podcast or not. Who is the GOAT? So he didn't answer. But the GOAT is LeBron James.
The GOAT.
The GOAT is LeBron James. I'm telling you that right now. Stop playing. He's about to get this 4th ring, by the way.
Alright.
He's about to get this 4th ring.
Alright. Danny from the crowd.
The crowd is just having pure reactions for now. I'm telling you, the chat is lit.
We can go for hours about this. I always argue this with my line brothers. Always.
Alright, I understand. Well, if we don't have any questions, I definitely want to make sure we start wrapping it up. But if folks want to continue this conversation, how can they find you?
You can definitely find me. My handle on Instagram is It's Dr. Wells, so at ITSDRWELLS. Feel free, send me a DM. Let's chat, let's connect, let's build whatever type of relationship we need to build.
Yeah.
If you're interested in physical therapy, whether if you're in high school, if you're in college, or if you are in physical therapy school, and you're trying to figure out how to transition doing this thing, reach out to me too. I do not mind giving advice, giving my experience, my expertise, or even pointing you in the right direction with other amazing physical therapists that I know. So feel free to reach out to me. If you are injured, because pain is not normal. If you are injured, if you have any questions about your injury, again, you can reach out to me on Instagram. Let's talk. Follow me on Instagram. I post a lot of me working with a lot of athletes too. Any sport, reach out to me, connect with me, have any questions, comments, or concerns. If you have a lengthy question, feel free to email me at mwellsdpt@gmail.com. But yeah, if you're in DC, man, I'd love to connect with anybody. You know, let's go run together. Let's go talk it out. Let's go figure this thing called life out.
There we go. I love it. All right. And again, as always, want to make sure we're shouting out our partners. Athletic Brewing Company, definitely keeping us hydrated with the Bears through these conversations. Shout out Philly Bike Expo. See y'all in 2021. It's canceled this year. And also shout out to Urban Athletic Club, man. They're hosting our, bi-weekly events. So if you're here in the DMV area, feel free to come out. Although we're not a club, we definitely want to make sure we're supporting the community. So you can come out to our bikes and our group runs. But also, speaking of UAC, shout out to everybody that came out to the run this weekend, especially my guy Dave. He drove down from Baltimore and he ran in memory of, let me make sure I get this name right, Shahid Tatum, who was tragically murdered here. His life was tragically taken in May. So he definitely came down with Runners for Justice to support him in that community. He educated us on the Baltimore Ceasefire Day, which was actually today. So shout out to him. If you want more information on that, just go to our page, look at the most recent posts, and you see some info in those comments. And then again, Runners, number 4, Justice, and Baltimore Ceasefire. Again, thank you all for joining. Micah, thank you for joining us in this conversation.
Appreciate you all for having me, man. I want to give a few shout outs too. Shout out to all my people from the Tennessee State University that's tuning in. Shout out to my people from HUPT, Jollies, and Dre's, my group right there, my core right there. My family and all my sisters out there. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting me and along with this journey. Let's go, Nation. Let's go! I know y'all in here. I know y'all going crazy in these comments. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Anybody who's had the Micah touch, appreciate you. Keep referring to people. Let's continue to get better together. So I definitely appreciate everything.
I love it. All right. Thanks for joining in, y'all. Peace.